sure it's tuned. Definitely needed tuning. Okay, here's the kirtan. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Hey Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Tamodarurate Varnana Veshe Adi Niskutarana Vipineshe Tamodarurate Varnana Veshe Niskutarana Vipineshe Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Shamanudade Navashashileke Ladita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake Shamanudade Navashashileke Ladita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Korunam Guru Mae Horuna Bharate Sanaka Sanatana Marnita Charite Korunam Guru Mae Koruna Bharate Sanaka Sanatana Marnita Charite Radhe Jaya Madhava Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jai Go Haribo 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 Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvati also Tena Sitashi Shimad His Divine Grace Savaya Charanada Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Rem Say Ho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shivasti Gaur Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Sai Mukunda Radhakunda Giti Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Ki Jai Vachuram Ki Jai Jagadasami Ki Jai Manamai Ki Jai Shrimati Galasi Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gold Premananda Hari Krishna. All glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Budle Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vacharni Nivashesha Shunyavadi Paschachate Shatari. So let me read the translation. O Radha, all glories unto you, beloved of Madhava, object of worship for all the young girls of Gokula. You dress yourself in such a way as to increase Lord Damodar's love and attachment for you. You are the controller of Vrindavana, the pleasure groves of Lord Hari. You are a new moon, arisen from the ocean of King Vrishabhanu. You are a friend of Lalita, and your wonderful qualities, friendliness, kindness, and faithfulness to Krishna, endear you to Vishaka. You are an ocean of compassion, and your divine characteristics are described by the four Kumaras, Sanaka, Sanatan, Sananda, and Sanat Kumar. O Radha, please be merciful to me. Jai, Jaiva Goswami's song. The Radhika Stava, beautiful song. Okay, so what do we do now? We're going to read from the Jaiva Dharma and some very interesting subject matters in the Jaiva Dharma. So, Om Gana Timiranda Shagadanjana Shlakya Chakshurun Meditam Yena Tasmai Shigurve Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who's kindly opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Okay, so let's go to the Jaiva Dharma. And we're going to share the screen as we normally do. Okay. So let's just get this set up. So, okay, we're talking about bhava now. Bhava means emotions. So Brajanath and Vijay Kumar are asking questions about Baba, real Baba, artificial Baba, reflected Baba, and all those other things like that. Spiritual emotions. We're not talking about material emotions right now, although that may be mixed with the spiritual emotions sometimes. So Brajanath is asking the Babaji, it is seen in many places that people thirsting for bhukti and mukti display the symptoms of Baba. Bhukti means sense gross. Mukti means liberation. Display the symptoms of spiritual emotions Baba mentioned previously while doing kirtan. What is that called? Babaji said, those signs of Baba in such people are only astonishing to foolish people. Those who know the truth about Baba reject it as Rachya Bhasha or Bhava Bhasha. So that means basically reflection or shadow. Okay, so Vijay Kumar said, how many types of Rachya Bhasa are there? There are two types, Pratibimba Rachabhasa and Chaya Rachabhasa. Come in. Oh, all right. Excuse me for a second. Okay. Yeah, sit down, sit down. So everybody, excuse me for a minute because we have this very dear devotee that I was just thinking of come in. I'm in New Orleans. So take a break. We'll introduce you to this devotee. Srivas. So you can see, as some of you may know. And so we'll take a little break from the class for a second, for a few minutes, if that's all right, because it's very important that I speak to this devotee. I was thinking of him. I was just thinking of him before class. So everybody take a break and you can chant Hare Krishna in the meantime. Let me just Sorry for the delay, Prabhus and Pravis. And the reason that I broke the class up to see him is because he's a very dear friend of mine. He's a disciple of Bhakti Chu Maharaj, and he can't come that often because his wife is completely paralyzed. There was a mistake made in the hospital when she was giving birth with the anesthesia, and she's completely paralyzed, and he has to take care of her, and it's real austerity. And so he's such a nice devotee. His name is Srivas. Some of you may actually know him. Some of you from North Carolina will know him. And he's just a lovely devotee, And so he's just dedicated right now, taking care of his wife and being Krishna conscious. And so he comes to see me all the time. And after this class, I'm going to go to see his wife too, to bless her. All right. So sorry for the delay, but it was absolutely required. Compassion is the hallmark of a Vaishnava. I'm trying to be a Vaishnava. So this is my attempt to be compassionate with the devotees, because I could see that Krishna gives you special mercy when you're compassionate. Not that I'm doing that just to get special mercy from Krishna, but it's part of the consciousness or soul of Vaishnavas to be compassionate with everybody. Okay, and I'm trying to be a Vaishnava. So let me go back a little. Vijay Kumar said, how many types of Rajyavasa are there? Babaji said there are two types, Pratibimba Rajyavasa and Chaya Rajyavasa. Vijay Kumar said, what is the nature of Pratibimba Rajyavasa? Babaji said, the two types of Rajyavasa, or reflections or shadow. Persons desiring liberation desire to attain liberation without difficulty. They display symptoms of bhava emotion to produce the happiness of liberation. This is called Pratibimba Rajyavasa. It's like a shadow. Liberation cannot be obtained without Brahma Gyan, that means knowledge of spirit. The process for Brahma Gyan is filled with suffering. That's interesting. Just knowing things about spirit without Krishna is full of suffering. If one can easily obtain liberation by chanting the Lord's name, one can attain Brahma Gyan easily, knowledge of spirit. Thinking in this way, the person manifests only an abhas of symptoms like tears and hairs standing on end, produced by the desire to obtain liberation without suffering. So in other words, all right, here's the point. People want liberation. Normally, to get liberation, you have to go this whole process of attaining knowledge. It's called jnana or Brahma Gyan. And so they want a shortcut. And they think, well, shortcut, just by chanting Hare Krishna, get liberated. And so they think, hey, let me just chant an ecstasy and manifest some supposed symptoms of ecstasy. And Rajanath asked, why is it called pratibimba, like a reflection? And Babaji answers, persons attracted to material enjoyment or liberation, engaging in chanting the Lord's name and other devotional processes, seem to develop internal happiness. In other words, they seem. Such persons desiring bhukti or mukti, that means gross or subtle or liberation, sense gratification, having nothing to do with Krishna, may by chance associate with a genuine devotee. By the strength of contact with a devotee and a bhas of the moon of bhava, a reflection of the moon of emotion, which has risen in the devotee's heart, appears to them in a small degree. This is called pratibimba or reflection. And that's really interesting. That when you associate with the pure devotee, even, whatever your motive is, you get some emotions. And certainly, when we all first associated with Prabhupada, we got those emotions. Bhava, pure emotion does not arise in these persons desiring bhakti or mukti. It's a reflection of the spiritual emotions. Seeing the bhava, the emotion of the pure devotees, they develop bhava vasa, reflected or shadow attachment. This type is called pratibimba bhava vasa, which means a reflection. This generally does not produce eternal auspiciousness in the jiva. After giving bhukti and mukti, it disappears. This may be called a type of nama aparada without exaggeration. It's a nama aparada, means offenses to the holy name. So pratibimba, and then we have chaya. The word chaya directly means a shadow, okay? Chaya bhava vasa. Here's another one. When a person ignorant of spiritual matters, innocent but kanishta, materialistic devotee, associates with actions, time, place, and objects dear to the Lord, a shadow of rati. So previously with the pratibimba, that was a reflection. So this is the shadow of rati, which is small, interesting, transitory, and removes suffering. It appears with rati's qualities, sort of attachment, love, etc. That's rati. This is called chaya rachavasa. Though the bhakti is slightly pure, it is not firm. In this state, rachyavasa, that means a reflection, not a reflection, a manifestation or simulation of a real taste. In any case, appears. In any case, this shadow, chaya bhava, rises in the jiva by the strength of many sukritis, devotional service, since gradually from the appearance of the shadow, one can attain more and more auspiciousness. So in other words, this chaya abhasa, chaya rachavasa, is auspicious, whereas the pratibimba is not. If one attains enough mercy from pure devotees, this bhava bhasa, this reflection or this shadow suddenly manifests as wow, that's pretty good, as pure spiritual emotion, pure bhava. So, wow, suddenly manifests. I like it to suddenly manifest. Though this bhava bhasa, this imitation, let's use the word imitation, is very elevated. If one commits an offense to a pure devotee, Vaishnava, gradually the condition decreases like the moon in the waning phase. What to speak of bhava bhasa, even pure bhava by offenses to devotees of Krishna disappears or gradually turns into bhava bhasa, imitation of a lesser category. Wow. So what do we get from this? One has to be extremamente, that's Spanish, careful about, come in. Oops. I'm in class right now. Yeah, right now, this is my class time.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's good you're here. This is Prime Govinda, who's usually the one who praises me the most to try to get things from me. So he came.
We love you, Maharaj.
Oh my God. Some of you may recognize him from the class. Oh my. So, okay, let's go back. So the main lesson we get from this is, you see, I usually have a joking relationship with just about everybody. So, probably in the spiritual world too. So, all right, back. So basically what we get from this is that one should be very careful when dealing with devotees of Krishna. Because even if you're on a high platform, which is called bhava, which is what's being discussed now, it will disappear, or it will just go to a lower level. If one intimately associates with persons fixed in the desire for liberation, even bhava becomes an abhas, becomes imitation, or one thinks of oneself as the worshipful Lord. Even emotion, your spiritual emotion, even if you're on a high platform, you can just associate with people who want liberation. You just lose your bhakti. For this reason, one sees that new devotees, when dancing, give rise to identifying with the Lord, being inclined to liberation. New devotees, without discrimination, associate with persons desiring liberation. By this association, this obstacle occurs. The new devotees should be careful to give up the association of persons desiring liberation. That's really interesting. So we should give up the association. Of course, we tried to bring them out of that platform of desiring liberation. But at the same time, we don't associate intimately with them, because that's very dangerous. Because they're desiring liberation without Krishna consciousness means there's some personalism there. This manifests bhava, spiritual motion, suddenly. One must understand that in a previous life he practiced well. Okay, internet connection unstable for a second. Let's take a pause. One must understand that in a previous life he practiced well. Because of obstacles, the result did not appear. In other words, he had some obstacles in his path, or he didn't reach perfection. That's why right now he appears to be like completely ecstatic. Why? Because his previous life, he was in a very high. When the obstacle has been removed, suddenly the result manifested. When excellent emotion suddenly appears, it is astonishing to everyone and gives all Shaktis, manifests all energy. One should understand that it has arisen by the mercy of Krishna. If one sees a slight material tendency like sin in a person, character of a person with bhava, one should not hate him, since that person who has manifested bhava has been successful in all respects. So if you see a slight, just slight, not big, not actual sinful activity, but a slight indication. What would be a slight indication? Let's say one is walking by a cake shop. You know what cakes are? And they have cakes with eggs in them, and he just looks at the cakes. Oh, then he corrects himself. That's a slight indication. Or he looks at the opposite gender and he thinks, well, I'd like to have that. But then he corrects himself, a slight indication. But if he does anything, it's not slight. It is actually serious. Commission of sin is not possible in the devotee with bhava. So that's the point. If he does anything, commits it, commission, it's not possible. When one sees this, one should think in two ways. If a Mahapurusha, means great person, devotee, by chance commits some sin, it will not be long lasting. Or with the appearance of bhava, emotion, spiritual emotion, the trace of previous sin will take some time to be destroyed. Quickly it will be destroyed. Thinking in this way, the devotee should not see common faults. If one sees fault, it will be nama aparada. In the Nrsimha Purana, it is written. So I just let me, before I read the Nrsimha Purana quote here, I think it's interesting, because sometimes we'll see fault when there's actually no fault. Like sometimes with Prabhupada, he would get angry sometime at impersonalists, Mayavad, rascals. And when they say anger, it's fault. But it wasn't a fault. It was actually Prabhupada's devotion to Krishna. When you get angry with someone who blasphemes the person you love, that's a good quality, Prabhu's, isn't it? Bhagavati cha haravananya cheta vrishamalina opi virajate manusha nahi shasha kalusha chavi kadachit timira para bhavatamupaiti chandra. A person who is dedicated completely to the Lord may show externally serious contamination, but internally he is pure. The full moon, though marked by the figure of a rabbit, this is the blotches on the moon, is never overcome by darkness. I've never seen a rabbit on the moon, but I've seen faces on the moon. From this teaching, one should not think that the devotee can commit sins constantly. Whoop, hold on. The air conditioner went off. I got to put it back on. That's why it's hot. Very hot. From this teaching, one should sins constantly. Actually, when steadiness in bhakti appears in the desire for sin does not remain. But as long as the body remains, it is possible to commit sin by accident. Worship is like blazing fire and turns the sin to ashes. The person must be careful not to commit the same sin again in the future. When pure bhakti arises, what to speak of sinful acts being destroyed, the root of sin, ignorance, is also avidya. That means ignorance is also destroyed. The person who repeatedly commits sin should not be accepted as performer of pure bhakti, since the devotees cannot commit the of sinning on the strength of bhakti. So if someone repeatedly does it, like if there's some accidental, slip, not like a really horrendous slip, but accidental. Let's say someone is preaching in the university. Here's an example. A great devotee is preaching in the university. He's not a pure devotee yet. And he goes into the dormitory room to preach to the students. And he goes into the dormitory room and they hand him a marijuana joint. And because of his past habit, he goes, oh, I'm doing the wrong thing. Then, we should not criticize him for that. He actually will not do it again. He's learned his lesson. So that's an example. And it's mentioned by Bhaktivinoda Thakur that one should not criticize a devotee for accidental activities or for his past or for his disease that he has or some deformity of the body. So Rati by nature is constantly warm with the nature of instability because of increasing desire, and it's full of strong bliss. That's the spiritual attachment. Manifesting the instability as Sanchari Bhavas, Rati is tastier than a million moons. Now, let me explain what Bhava means emotion. Sanchari means the emotion that just moves throughout your whole body. Sometimes called Vyabhachari Bhavas. Use emotions. There's 33 of those different emotions that have been classified by Srila Rupa Goswami. And they're intense, they're unpredictable, they're not controllable. Those are the Sanchari Bhavas. Hearing the explanation of Bhava, Brajanath and Vijay Kumar became stunned and their hearts overcome by emotion. Though Babaji finally became stunned, remaining silent for some time, they said, Prabhu, by spreading the nectar of your instructions, a flood of prema, love, is flowing in our burnt up hearts. What will we do? Where will we go? We cannot decide. Taking birth in Brahmin families, we are full of pride. We have no humility in our hearts. The hope of attaining Bhava is very distant for us. Our only hope is, since you are an associate of the Lord, if you give one drop of prema, love to our hearts, we will be successful. Because of our relationship with you, the bird of hope is building a nest in our hearts. What a poetic expression. Beautiful. We are miserable and worthless. You are most merciful King of the devotees. Being merciful, please give some instruction regarding what we should do. We are thinking that we'll give up our household life at this instant and serve your feet.
That's pretty interesting. Wow. So they both said that. So Vijay Kumar is getting nervous, but he's the uncle, and his sister, who is the mother of Brajanath, asked them, please do something about Brajanath. He needs to be married. And Vijay Kumar doesn't want to force him to be married, but at the same time, he wants to understand the right thing to do for Brajanath so he doesn't become artificially renounced and really not carry out his dharma. Okay. So here's the opportunity. Taking the opportunity, Vijay Kumar specifically asked or said, Prabhu, Brajanath is a boy. His mother desires that he gets married. He does not agree. Please tell him what to do. Guru Maharaj, should my godbrother, Brajanath, get married? He's a boy. Mother wants him to get married. He needs guidance. Babaji said, Krishna has given you mercy. Make your families into Krishna's family and serve Krishna. Follow the order that Mahaprabhu taught the whole world. In the world, there are two situations, being a householder and being renounced. As long as one is not qualified for renouncing, one should remain as a householder and serve Krishna. Mahaprabhu was an example of the householder Vaishnava for the first 24 years of his pastimes. For the remaining 24 years of pastimes, he was an example of renunciate Vaishnava. The householders should define their conduct by seeing Mahaprabhu's household life. In my opinion, this is what you should do. Do not think that as a householder, you cannot attain the supreme goal of Krishna Prema. Mahaprabhu gave his mercy mostly to householders. Even the renounced Vaishnavas pray for the foot dust of those householders. Oh, so Babaji, even though he's in renounced order of life, is not discouraging Brajanath from becoming a householder. It was late at night. Chanting the qualities of the Lord, Vijay Kumar and Brajanath spent the whole night at Srivasangam with many Vaishnavas. Early in the morning, after cleaning themselves and bathing, after kirtan with the Vaishnavas, they took Mahaprasad there. In the afternoon, they slowly proceeded to Bilva Pushkarini. The uncle and nephew, consulting together, concluded that it was necessary for both of them to serve Krishna while being situated as householders. Ooh, both of them. But anyway, Vijay Kumar doesn't do that. Later on, you'll see. Vijay Kumar said to his sister, Brajanath will get married. So Brajanath's mother is going, Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. You should prepare everything. I'm going to Modram Druma for some days. When I receive news of Brajanath's marriage, I will come with my family to this house and complete the auspicious rites. I will send my younger brother, Harinatha, here to prepare everything. Brajanath's mother and grandmother were filled with joy. These ladies, they love marriages. Like you ever gone to a marriage? Well, I've gone to a lot of them. And the women are in front, the men are in back, bored stiff with the marriage, especially the long marriages. And the women in front crying in ecstasy. Tears are coming from their eyes like torrents of rain. And their hair is standing on end and shivering in the body. And the men are just talking about business in the background. So, Haribol, I'm giving class. Oh, that's my prasadam. Yeah. Okay, you could just leave it right over there. Because I'm right in the middle of the class right now. Thank you. So, okay, thank you very much, Gadadhar. Did you cook it yourself?
No, so
Shraddha made it. Okay, thank you. So, this is what happens when I'm traveling. Not all the time. So anyway, so the point is that the ladies get filled with joy. I wish I would feel so much ecstasy upon chanting the holy name as ladies feel when they're dealing with a marriage. Giving gifts of cloth, they bid farewell to Vijay. They were so pleased with Vijay Kumar, they just were ready to give him anything. Because to them, that is the goal of life, to get people married. Well, maybe not the goal of life, but it's pretty close. Okay, so let's go ahead. Maybe we'll end a little early today, maybe 5 minutes earlier, because we were surrounded by all these people who want to see me. So, chapter 23, Nama Tattva. That means the truth of the holy name. So, Bilva Pushkarini was a pleasant village. The Ganga, the Ganges, flowed in the north and west. There was a Shiva temple on the bank of a pond surrounded with a bilva by a bilva forest. Not too far away was Baba Tarana, with Bilva Pushkarini on one side and Brahmana Pushkarini on the other side. The village Sumilia was situated at one end of Navadvip town. Rajanath's house was to the north of the main road running through the center of Bilva Pushkarini. Bidding farewell to his sister, Vijay Kumar went some distance and thought, they should not go home without understanding about Nama Tattva. Returning to Bilva Pushkarini, seeing his sister and nephew, I will stay a few days and then return home. In the afternoon, 2 devotees of the Ramanuja Sampradaya wearing Sri Tilak came to Brajanath's Durga hall. In the shade of an attractive jackfruit tree facing Brajanath's house, the 2 Vaishnavas laid down seats and sat down. After gathering fallen branches of wood, they made a fire and began to smoke marijuana. Brajanath's mother was happy to serve the guests, seeing that the guests had not eaten. She brought various foods from the house. Satisfied, they began to cook chapatis. Seeing the peaceful faces of the 2 Vaishnavas, Brajanath and Vijay Kumar became attracted to them. Now, just a little information is that in many cases, marijuana was part of the rituals in India. Not now, not bona fide, never bona fide, but still, sometimes people do these rituals that came about through just tradition. Just like in Fiji, they have this ritual of taking kava, and not at our temple, of course, but at most of the Hindu temples, and especially the Ram Mandirs. Okay, I'm going to end early, a little early. So let's just take 2 or 3 questions, and then we can go on with our program here. We've got we've got people coming to see me here. So let me allow you to unmute yourselves. 1 second. Okay, who has some questions? Raise your hand. Okay. Divine, you have some questions.
Hare Krishna, Gurudev. Thank you for class. My question is about the part where it said that if someone has bhava, but then they associate with someone who is desiring liberation, their bhava can turn to abhyasa. I was confused by that because I thought that if you're an advanced devotee, you can associate with people who aren't and you'll bring them up instead of going down.
Yes, well, there's different types of association. Association doesn't mean just like being with someone. Association means to be affected by their mentality and to seriously take their mentality, examine it to see if it's something attractive. Instead, one should address when they say something that's really bogus, because part of the mentality of someone who is interested in liberation is that ultimately either everything is nothing, or ultimately you're God, ultimately I'm God, we're all God. So there's this impersonalism, which is actually, let's say, not almost, but it is blasphemous towards Krishna. So if one hears criticism of Krishna, saying that Krishna has no personality, he's impersonal, that in itself is like a sword in the heart. So a sword in the heart, just like if you love someone very much, let's say, a lady has a kid or something, and we go and we criticize the kid, we just say, what an ugly kid. And it's like a pain in the heart. But if the mother just sits there and listens to it, doesn't do anything, she actually starts to have a improper relationship with her son. So it's a similar type of dynamic that occurs. So that's really what's being referred to. So
Okay.
obviously you can associate, you can be with him, you can give them prashadam, you can make friendship with them, but it's better not to get into their mentality or hear criticism of the personal form of God. I hope
Okay,
that explains it.
that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, and now, Vijay Radhika, you have a question.
Hare Krishna, Gurudev, please accept my humble obeisances.
Jai.
I have a question about the Pratibimba and the Chaya one.
Yeah.
The Pratibimba is the one who's deciding mukti, and the Chaya is an innocent devotee, but both of them have the pure devotee association. Is it possible that the Pratibimba also, by the mercy of the pure devotees, can become...
Yeah, but they have to give up their offensive mentality
Mm.
or their materialistic mentality. Yes, by the association of a pure devotee, anything is possible. Anything is possible. But of the two, the Chaya, which is the shadow, is actually preferable to the Pratibimba, because the Pratibimba, one is chanting for liberation or for sense gratification or gross sense gratification. So one has the wrong motive.
Contaminated the Pratibimba.
Yeah, it's a contaminated chanting. It's actually an offensive chanting. Whereas the Chaya is not really offensive, just doesn't know better. So there's a difference between, just like we have people who don't believe in God, agnostics and atheists, who is worse? An atheist is worse than an agnostic. Agnostic says, I don't know any better. I just don't know if there's a God or not. An atheist says there is no God.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for your questions. So I think we're going to end early because I'm hearing there's people who come to see me. It's a Sunday and all that other nice stuff. So thank you very much. Sorry for the interruption in class and sorry for the ending class early, but things happen when you're traveling. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.